So it's not like they accomplished anything much. And in fact, it's actually super duper small because of just how heartless that they were. It's honestly concerning how hurtful. So they ought to be ashamed for themselves, for all that they did to you. But they're super delusional, and they're still delusional. And that's not only how they can try and report to other people somehow that you're the narcissist, it's just totally delusional. When all you ever did was love them, you never deserved to be blacklisted and blackballed the way that you were. And all for their own proxy warfare that they were taking inside of your life, which was all meaning to tamp you out and get you to calm down so you wouldn't let the cat out of the bag. But you let that cat out of the bag. And the only reason that you did is because you weren't left with any other choice. Because the way that they had left you was to actually leave you for dead. So they can go ahead and think somehow that the ways that they treated you was appropriate. And the thing of it is they actually do. They actually do feel inside of themselves that the ways that they treated you was appropriate. So they didn't have any intention of protecting you. No. Their only interest was in protecting themselves. And their own interests on making you seem unstable. When all of their narcissistic treatment was making you look crazy made. And you did. You had to go through a lot of insane emotions because of all of the angles that they were trying to hurt you. And they left you in all of these insane ways, and they knew exactly what they were doing. And the insane part is the sociopathy that they took in your life and what they did to you. And then it's even more insane that they actually tried to take you out to wholeheartedly get away with it. All while you had nothing but love for these people. So they totally abused that love, and they took your kindness and thought of you as weak. They played the part as though they had your back, but they totally took advantage of you. And so even when you were mad at them, they would tell you certain things so that behind the scenes for yourself, you would go on telling people about how great they were. Not to mention, you'd always have nice things to say about them. But immediately after these events, they'd be making phone calls, they'd be talking to other people out of two faces, immediately talking down about you. And so they'd even tell certain stories around the holidays, right when you were poisoned up again, and you were coming to them poisoned up again. And these stories that they would tell would just be on purpose to try and make you as unstable as possible. And always unable to speak up for yourself or even try. They'd say how dirty you were of a fighter, and you should have seen this and you should have seen that. They never took any consideration for who you actually were at all. What they were doing is painting you up in a narrative that fit their schedule. And they did this in order to make their own consciences feel better about what they had been doing. But you were none of these things, fam. It was all very manipulative so that you couldn't even try to speak up for yourself. And instead of being able to try and speak up for yourself, they not only didn't want you to speak, but they wanted you to instead lash out. So again, all you could do is feel boxed in and bottle it all up and have this unimaginable feeling going on inside of you that you didn't know how to deal with or you didn't know how to understand or comprehend it because of the poisons. So if they didn't get you to lash out, they at least had you in the narrative of exactly where they wanted you, all boxed in, trying to be pushed and prodded upon until you pop and explode. But still, you held on to your truest nature, and you held on to your dignity and kept yourself intact. You might not have understood it at the time, but that's what you did. You held tightly onto your own dignity and onto yourself, like a true person would, like a true person should. And you stayed true to you. So they pretended to be humble, but they also weren't pretending to try and be anything too great in front of other people either, so that they could get them used to the narrative that they were painting of you. In other words, it was to suggest to other people that no one would treat this person this way unless there was a reason for them to be treated this way, right? But they hated that you worshipped God. They'd try to do anything in order to get in the way of your focus on God. Their goals are to always take your attention off of the Lord and back onto anything that they're trying to put and set inside of your path. This is why they're weak and cowardice, because they need to imitate you and create all these second accounts that are literally stealing you, your face, your image, and making you say everything in the exact opposite of the way that you actually are. Because it's the same thing that they would be reporting to other people. So they're trying to hack you, hack your origination away from you, steal your origination, your light away from you, as if you don't have the right to try and shine up brightly. You don't have the right to try and glow up and shine at all. So when you stopped them dead in their tracks, and you started to actually consider yourself and to take out yourself for who you truly are, they never expected you to be able to. They never expected you to want to do anything better for yourself. And even when you were placed inside of homelessness, they knew exactly how hard you had to work to get out of that place, and they used that placement of your already drained up energy to utilize that energy to drain it up worse. Drain you up further. They didn't care. They knew everything that you were going through. So they thought that they had you pinned. They even hacked you to control you, data map you to control you, and use every last little avenue, even proxy-made relationships, in order to get their initial ends met. So they had thought that they had everything in place, every single last power in place in order to push you right over the edge, push you right over that ledge, and get you to look as unstable as possible. But you still held tightly to your own self with dignity intact. They certainly wanted to make you look unstable and unsound, because it was in their favor to make you out to look like somebody you're not. And they thought, well, we did it this way before, and it worked, and we did it again, and it worked. How about we just hit them with every single last angle we can think of? And this ought to work this time just the same. Why not? Why not continue the same plan, right? So when it didn't work out that same way, you could tell that they weren't truly actually happy about that fact. And then they didn't even want you to speak highly about anybody else and their efforts with anything either, because not only didn't they want the attention taken off of them, but they didn't want other people to start seeing through the narratives that they were painting up of you. No, they didn't want anyone to see anything worthwhile of you at all. Because in their eyes, they needed to paint you up as the piece of shit. And no, not just look like a piece of shit. They needed to push you around to get you to pop or explode like a reactor, so that they can make everyone else look at you and say, see, he's a piece of shit. When it's just the fact, fam, you were never a piece of shit. You just didn't understand. You couldn't comprehend. And how could you have? They had you poisoned up, psychologically abused and manipulated in every facet that they could. So, even that you couldn't understand it, other people around everyone here in these scenes couldn't understand it either. I mean, how could they have? And if they did see anything, they would just think to themselves that somehow you deserved it, which is absolutely wrong. So, anytime that you were in these positions, other people would be around, and for the most part, they would just ignore it. Because the perpetrators against you in this way, they were just trying to normalize the abuse. They never ever wanted you to get to a place where you started speaking up for yourself and putting all of the pieces together. But you did. And by doing so, you maybe not have liked the pieces that you were trying to place together, but you did. Because these people treated you like a piece of shit. So that's where I'm going to close out in this message. And I hope that for my listeners out here who are supporting me, can just see to it that I'm really just trying to take out a mission out here. And I was really just trying to take out a mission that was supposed to be really bright. All I really wanted to do on YouTube was create a funneling system for my website that I was building. But these narcissists wouldn't let me work at McDonald's without attaching their proxy made bullshit onto me. They wouldn't allow me to work at a paper mill. They wouldn't allow me to work anywhere. As a button presser, button pusher, a machine operator. Anyway, they stopped at nothing so that I couldn't even try to hope for making a paycheck or hope for having any kind of organic, loving relationship in my life. They wanted to make it so I couldn't have anybody in my personal life. So I hope you can help me in a way of supporting me, sharing my content, and liking and supporting what I'm coming out here to suggest, because it's all been one of the most wickedest crimes I feel of its type that's happening to me. So my hopes is that maybe one day through all of my efforts here, I might be able to live a little 2% value of where I wanted to be. I'd like to go to 100 still, but I'm fighting. I'm fighting for my actual life at times, and it's just not even being recognized by the medical community as anything more than a mental health issue when they're not even trying to look at my physical body. So until we're working a mission together that's real bright and actually charitable, until next time, peace. And I hope that you guys stay safe, and I hope that you take care of yourselves. I know I'm trying to. Sincerely, thanks for being here, and God bless. Peace.